You can get all excited about lifting 200 pounds till you get to the gym, and then you need a new excitement. And the new excitement is called discipline, a major step to human progress. Discipline. Now here's the key to discipline. Start with the little disciplines. Get excited over the little disciplines and get right on those, because those will lead to the big ones. Make a list of all the things you can do. Get right on those. Discipline yourself for those. Vote for the results and for the muscle and for the practice. We might add one more word here. Consistent. Consistent. Self-discipline. It takes a consistent effort to truly manage our valuable time. It takes discipline to conquer the nagging voices in our minds. The fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of poverty, the fear of a broken heart. It takes discipline to admit our errors and recognize our limitations. It takes discipline to change a habit, because habits are formed a little bit each day, every day, every day, every day. Once habits are formed, they act like a giant cable. They act like a nearly unbreakable instinct that only long-term disciplined activity can change.
You've got to really work on your consistent self-discipline on a daily basis, or you'll find yourself distracted.
Distracted by negative thoughts. It's easier to go to bed late, sleep late, show up late, leave early. It's easier not to read. It's easier not to read. It's easier to turn on the television than to open a book. It's easier to do just enough than to do it all. Waiting is always easier than acting. Imagine what life would be like if we didn't have to make our bed in the morning, or keep our garage clean, or pay our taxes, or show up for work tomorrow. Wouldn't it be fascinating if we didn't have to do these things? Wouldn't it be fascinating? What do you suppose would become of us? Our world is and always will be a constant battle between the life of ease and its momentary rewards, and a life of discipline and its far more significant rewards. The first lesson of discipline is that it isn't the easiest option. The second lesson of discipline is that it's a full-time activity. And we've said that the best form of discipline is consistent self-discipline. All disciplines carry through to affect all parts of our lives. If we're disciplined in just one area and lazy in another, guess what? The bad habits in one area of our life will eventually destroy our self-discipline in the areas we've been working on. Discipline is imposing on ourselves the requirements for honoring these standards. Once we've adopted these standards of behavior and conduct, we're committed to honor them. And if we don't, then there can be no disciplined activity. We tell our kids that the TV is rotting their minds, yet we spend our evenings in front of it. We tell our employees that they must take advantage of every minute of the working day, yet we spend 3 hours at lunch. This leads to a loss of credibility among those who watch us, and, more importantly, this leads to a loss of credibility within ourselves. The only thing worse than one who is inconsistent in applying their self-imposed disciplines is one who's never considered the need or the value of discipline at all. Here's the third step to becoming consistently self-disciplined. It's really a philosophy that holds one of life's unique promises. Number 3 simply says, for every disciplined effort, there is a multiple reward. Life is full of laws that both govern and explain behaviors, but this may well be the major law we need to understand. For every disciplined effort, a multiple reward. If you render unique service, your reward will be multiplied. If you're fair and honest and patient with others, your reward will be multiplied. If you give more than you expect to receive, your reward is more than you expect to receive. Your reward is more than you expect. Everything of value requires discipline, as our thoughts require discipline. We must set up our inner boundaries, our codes of conduct, or our thoughts will be confused. And with confused thoughts, we'll end up being confused, hopelessly lost in the maze of life. Perhaps you're on the brink of giving up, or starting over, or starting out, and the only missing ingredient to your incredible success story in the future is a new and self-imposed discipline that will make you stay longer and try harder and work more intensely than you ever thought you possibly could. Don't wait for things to deteriorate so drastically that someone else must impose discipline into your life. When the alarm clock goes off, you get up, you get out of bed, and you go do what you're supposed to do. I don't care how it feels. I don't care if it's easy or hard. It doesn't even matter to me. It's just a reaction. It's a discipline and it's life. And that's the way I choose to live my life. People who are going to be really successful in the future are willing to make sacrifices in the present in order to guarantee that future. They're willing to invest and save their money even though they don't have a lot, knowing that with compound interest it will grow and grow over time. They're willing to spend an enormous amount of time investing in their children, knowing that this investment in their children in time and love and affection and support will pay off for decades and generations, even into the lives of their children and grandchildren. So, sacrifice is the critical word, and sacrifice means that you have the ability to discipline yourself. And the wonderful thing is, when you practice self-discipline, it actually makes you happy to practice self-discipline, to take control of yourself and make yourself do the right thing and complete it well. What is it that unsuccessful people don't like to do? Well, it turns out to be the same thing that successful people don't like to do either. But they do it anyway because they recognize that that's the price of success. Remember, the same things that unsuccessful people don't like to do are things you don't like to do either. And again, it comes back to our favorite word, sacrifice. Being willing to pay the price in the present to enjoy the great rewards in the future. All right, the next personal quality that assures success is you must determine the price that you will have to pay in order to be successful and then resolve to pay that price. Many people say, just look at that person. They got the nice house and the nice car. You never realize that behind the scenes that person was probably working 16, 18 hours a day, probably for 5 years before they got their break and 5 years after they got their break. The reason I mention this is sometimes people start a business. They think, well, I'm sure I'll have to work a couple extra hours a day. And as somebody once told me, when you start your own business, you only have to work half the time. You only have to work half days from that aisle, and you can decide which 12 hours it's going to be. In a recent study, they found that in our society, you work 8 hours a day for survival, and everything over that, you work for success. Every additional hour, whether you're working for yourself or someone else, is for success. So it's very important that you keep putting in those additional hours, whether it's extra reading, extra study, extra work. You are not allowed to say any other words to a senior officer except, yes, sir, I will do it. No, sir, I didn't do it. And no excuses, sir. And that's how they train the top officers in the world, because they know that nothing makes a person weaker or littler than always making excuses. No leader could be a leader if all they did was make excuses. There is a turning point in your life where you become an adult or you remain a child, and it's like a line that you cross, and on one side of the line, other side of the line is responsibility, where you are now responsible for the rest of your life. On this side of the line is blaming others for your problems. Blaming is the major source of negative emotions and unhappiness and stress and failure. When you step across the line, you say, from now on, I accept complete responsibility for my life and for everything that happens to me. If you have a goal, you accept responsibility for achieving the goal. Blaming makes you weak and angry. It makes you feel inferior and insecure. Too much of anything is a bad thing. Life without balance results in an unbalanced life. Walking around the block every day is good. Walking or running 6 hours a day is bad. It's obsessive, unless, of course, you make your living as a marathon runner. Then you're doing your job. Eating an apple a day is good. Eating only apples is bad. You won't get all the protein and vitamins and nutrients your body needs. Working hard, burning the midnight oil, doing it till is good. Working non-stop, never taking a vacation, never having any fun, never spending quality time with the people you love, working day after day, month after month, never taking a break, year after day, month after month, never taking a break, year after year is bad. If you've got your nose to the grindstone all the time, how are you ever going to spot new opportunities? Consider new ideas. You've got to stop and ponder where you've been and where you're going. You've got to reflect so you know if you're even on the right track. If you're always working, you must be successful. No, it doesn't work that way. For a workaholic, they can work 10, 12, 14 hours a day, take 2 jobs, work them back to back. The only satisfaction is fighting off sleep, denying life's pleasures, getting more tasks done. These people are generally more task-oriented than results-oriented than results-oriented. Workaholics generally end up alienating their families, losing their health, facing a crisis of values. Of course, when you schedule your time and take advantage of your time, you can work smarter instead of working longer, and you'll probably end up getting more done than the workaholic and still have time for other things in life. Now, here's the key technique that you can use in your life to help keep you on the right track. Ambitious people don't see each step toward their goals as a singular step, each discipline as a singular discipline, each project as a singular project, each project as a singular sale, as a singular sale. With everything they do and with every discipline they adhere to, they see it all as part of a chain, a link in the chain of events and actions that will lead them to their final destination. Every action and every discipline in the future is a link. When you can see that every link in the chain will eventually lead you to the things you want most out of life, to the person you want to become, then you won't grow discouraged or fearful or impatient with today. When you can see where you're going through visual chain thinking, even on the toughest days, you'll keep building your ambition by knowing where you're going, not just where you are today.